Hello everyone, this is Dr. Sashikala. Now the topic I am going to handle in today's lecture is giving. Now we all know the meaning of the word giving. If I pick a dictionary and find out the word giving, we have various meanings. But here today in this lecture, I am going to talk of the art or gift of giving. So let's first see the various meanings of the word give. As I said, this is a general word which just shows the action of giving something to another person, like a book, or you even give a permission to other people. Now, giving is also an act of giving money to some people who are in need. Or when you purchase a product or you buy a service, you also need to give money for it. But here we are going to talk of giving, which is more than what we have said this word defines. We will here be dealing with this topic in the sense of caring, nurturing, as well as philanthropic giving. Now, what is philanthropy? It just means that you give something or do an act without expecting the results or the fruits of it. Now, when I talk of giving, here as I said, we are going to discuss the art of giving. So how should giving be? It should be something which we give from the heart. So it is not material benefits which we are talking of here. We are talking of certain emotions and attitudes we exhibit without expecting anything from the other person. So the act of giving is where you voluntarily do something or give something without expecting even gratitude from another person. Now, when you give, you will see that the relationship between the giver and the receiver will be mutually connected. We think that when we give something to another person, they will be happy. But understand that the giver also will experience happiness. That is where true giving comes in. So as I said, it should be from your heart, from within your souls. So make sure that your attitude is reflected by an act which comes from the heart. Now, while you give, it is also very important to understand that we should not discriminate people between high and low, or people even who have done some good or bad to you. Treat everyone equally and make sure that your act is selfless. So now coming to giving, we see that these are some personal acts of kindness we engage ourselves in. It's not just some act, it is a very, very special form of act. So when you give something, it could be even an advice. As I said, it's not only the material things which we give away. You might offer some good counsel to a person when they are in need. When someone is in pain, you can give them a kind word. Now, how often do we appreciate other people? We always look out for our own appreciation, but we fail to appreciate even the smallest act which others do. Now, even that is giving, because you understand that the person who has received an appreciation will feel a glow of happiness throughout their day. Sometimes it will be a memory even for life. So give yourself the opportunities to appreciate others. Now, when you share your knowledge also, it is an act of giving. So when you help your students to understand something which they have not understood so far, even that is an act of giving. Or something which you know, which you have in your mind, which you are sure that your other friend or another person does not know, a special knowledge. Giving that is also a great act. So appreciation, I said, compliment. This is where in everyday's life you find opportunities to look at the behavior and attitude of other people and appreciate them wholesomely. Now, a helping hand. If someone is in need, why don't you put yourself out to give your help to them? That is also an act of giving. And when you find that some person is having a very difficult time, is very stressed out, or even a smile at that time can alleviate their pain. So this is where you see that it is in giving that we receive. Already I mentioned the true act of giving gives happiness to both the receiver as well as the giver. So make your life meaningful, make it happy by always finding opportunities to reach out to other people. Now, giving away money, that is also a special act. Now, why do we have money with us? It is our possession, something which I earn and I save. So when I have some money which I have saved for future things, okay? So with the money we buy some possessions. Now for me to give this possession is quite sometimes easy. Why? Because I always know that I will be able to earn more money in future. Now why do I earn money and why do I save it? For my need sometime in the future. We all know that life is unpredictable. We have to be very careful in our spending. If you just spend today, you will be left with nothing tomorrow. That is why we have a fear of need in the future and we save money. But for you to give up that money for a need, where you give away the possessiveness over the money you have earned, that is where we think this is my money. I should not part with it. Why should I give it away to someone who needs it? But understand that this will be a noble act when you become a giver of gifts of money. So though you have money for your own use, make sure that you do part with it at times when another person is in dire need of this monetary benefit. Okay, let's move on to what true giving is. Apart from the money which you can share, giving is a divine act. This is where not just possessions which you possess you can part, but giving of yourself. Taking time, looking at the other person's need, and giving of self, where, again as I said, don't grade the person who is going to receive the benefit. Even if it is a person who has hurt you a lot, make sure that you give to them all that is worthy of the giving. And also, don't demand that the person should prove himself to be worthy of receiving your gift. So don't put people on a scale, weighing their behavior, what you have received from them, for you to give it to them. So what is true giving then? First of all, you have to give up the desire to keep things. Only then will you have that philanthropic mind where you will give freely to others. So the first stage in giving is to do away with your desire of your possessions. Only if you relinquish the desire will you be able to give something which, as I said, you always hoard or keep safe for a future need. Now, some people give things for fame and recognition. To upgrade their reputation, they indulge in acts of giving. Now that is what you should understand is a very wrong reason. So how should we give? We should be spiritually free for us to give something to others. So don't do things for gaining some fame or even some monetary benefit later. For you to give, you should be spiritually free to give the abundance you have stored to the blessed. So your life also will become the blessed one if you know how to give things to others. Now, when can the true act of giving come in? First of all, you should care for the person. It could be a family member, your friend even. But over and above that, you should also care for strangers. Now, caring is what will next propel you to share. So first have this thought where you show empathy to everyone. Don't decide whether they deserve your giving. Care for them first and then decide to share. Sharing, as I said, is not just monetary benefits, but also even a small smile for a person who is in a difficult time. Now, in India, this word is very familiar to every one of us. What is karma? Karma is an act which, as we know, what you do, you get back. So what goes around comes around. Keep your circle positive. Speak good words, think good thoughts, and do good deeds. Because what you do is what you will receive. So when it comes to karma, we have to understand that this is one of the most basic laws. Though in India we particularly believe this, everyone across the world has also accepted that life gives back what you give it. So this is one of the life truths we have to keep in mind and understand that every single act of love, kindness and generosity will multiply and return to you many times over. Do a small act of giving. You will see that you will later become the recipient of others' giving. And also, when you give something without any desire of getting something back, that is where your returns will be manifold or limitless. So don't have this thought of limiting your giving. Also giving with the thought of getting some benefit later. Because this is something which every one of us should understand, that when you give from your heart, that is what will fill you with joy along with the joy you bring to the recipient. So keep this thought in mind. Karma, it will award you if you give away from your heart to everyone around you. Now when we take up an act of giving, you know that the hands of the giver will always be above that of the receiver. Now in India we believe that what the right hand does, the left hand should not know. That is, what you do as a noble act should not be publicized. Similarly, we should not demean the getter by having their hand beneath your hand where you drop something of material things. So how should giving be done then? Let the taker have his hand above you. You place whatever you are giving beneath their hands so that they can take from your hand. This is where giving becomes truly a noble act. Okay, next. This, as we see, is a continuous process. Find always opportunities in life where you can give something away, even if it is in a small percentage. So when you give without thought, a kind word, a small help to another person, that is definitely godly in nature. So don't expect some benefit out of the giving. That is where you truly rise to the position of God, and God Himself will shower His blessings on you. Now let me here talk of Khalil Gibran. Now there are so many saints who have said many things about giving. Our Hindu scripture also abounds in the act of giving. But here particularly I would like to say what Khalil Gibran has said. Now he was a Lebanese American writer who was a poet and a visual artist, very popular during his time. But he gained more popularity through his philosophy. Now he simply has written a work called The Prophet. I would advise you to go and read this Prophet, where in it he has spoken of the act of giving. You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. Now these are words which should be imprinted on our minds. We need to remember them so that we can act continuously in our life, so that we give away not just always the small amount of money we can afford, but all the acts which we can do from the depth of our heart. Now let me move to the various religions and see what they say about giving. Now in the Bhagavad Gita, when Lord Krishna preaches to Arjuna at the time of the Kurukshetra war, he says, work for work's sake, not for yourself. Act, but do not be attached to your actions. Be in the world, but not of it. The simple truth behind these words is that do your duty for the duty's sake and not for the result or the benefit you are going to take. So give for the sake of giving. Give freely as often as possible. but don't ever expect either gratitude or return of that benefit later in your life. Now next, I will go on to tell more about Gita. It says that you have to make maximum use or optimum use of your hands, whereby you constantly strive to help the needy. Needy does not just mean the poor alone. Everyone around us needs something from us. So always involve yourself in the act of giving so that you can make them happy. Make a small difference in the life of a person who is upset or very disappointed. Your simple word of encouragement and cheering up even is a noble act of giving. Now understand that when you give, you are spiritually free, you get a spiritual merit, and that is where true happiness for you comes in. Now in the Gita, as already I said, Lord Krishna advises, do your duty. So Karma Yoga insists that your acts should be selfless. Give without expecting anything in return. Make sure that you offer also money, dana. We Hindus truly believe that charity is very important. Look out for needy people and make sure you give this dana. Now what is the word Brahman? Hinduism believes that God is omnipotent and omnipresent, and He is the supreme Brahman. Now again, when you take Indian philosophy, every human being born on this earth is a part of the supreme being, the Brahman. So when you help others, you are actually helping the Brahman in you, because every Atma is said to be a small particle from the supreme Atma or the Brahman. So nurture the Brahman inside you. Do a selfless act of giving so that your Atma, which is a small piece from the Supreme Brahman, is activated and is happy. So without differentiating all the living beings around you, always make sure that you give something every day. Now what does the Bible say of giving? Give is a common word which is used much in the Old Testament. Now there, in the Old Testament, there are words which tell that give or the act of giving should be out of generosity. You can give only when you have a generous heart, because the true act of giving is where you do not exchange things. I give you something today, you give me something back later. You give away without a thought of receiving anything. Now, in the Bible, there are some models for generosity given for us. Which is the first model? We know Lord God gave His own Son to save mankind. He loved humanity so much that He sent down His own Son, knowing that He will be crucified on the cross. So that is where God Himself is a model of generosity. Now, if we take the Son, Jesus Christ, He knew very well that He has to give up His life to save mankind on the cross. And He willingly came down to earth upon the word of His Father and sacrificed Himself on the cross. So both these people, the Lord God as well as Jesus Christ, they are truly a model for generosity. They are examples for us that we should be sacrificial. We should always give up something whereby we do not expect to be given it again later. Now in one of the verses in the New Testament, Jesus Christ says, it is more blessed to give than to receive. So don't always be expecting something from others. Find opportunities so that you can give. And only when you give, you are truly liberated. Because the world as well as the people around us have given us so much. It is your duty to give back everything which you have received. So when you give away, don't be proud in thinking, I have done a noble act. You are only giving what you have already received. So freely you have received. God has given us His bounty. So make sure that you freely give also. Now when we come down to Islam, Quran says, The best among you are those who bring greatest benefits to many others. So give as much as possible, because you truly then will become a noble soul. So here we see that all the scriptures, every religion preaches the attitude of giving selflessly and with love, from deep within our hearts, without expecting anything from the other person. So don't think that as a human being you have to give it as a duty. Of course you have received and you have to give it back. But understand that every opportunity you find to give is a golden opportunity, and you are blessed there to even get that opportunity. That is where we have to consider it as a privilege and not just simply as a duty. Now here, let me tell what are the opportunities you can find in life to give. Volunteering help. You on your own come out to help someone. That is truly a noble act of giving. What other opportunities can you find for giving? Give freely to the poor. Poor in the sense not just for monetary benefits, but even deprived souls which are asking for some act of love. So give freely to the poor at every opportunity you can. Make sure that you donate grains, food to the needy and poor people. Now sharing what you have in excess is also giving. Like food, we waste so much of food every day. Make sure that you don't waste food, and if you do have some leftovers, share it with others who are in need. Not just food, anything which you want to give up, make sure that you share it with others. Now we earn so much in this life. Everyone is blessed with a job and an income. So make sure that you frequently do some donations. Go to some orphanages or old age homes. Make them happy for a day by giving them food at least for a single day. Often make sure that you also donate things to other people, be it in the form of clothes or utensils, in the form of gifts. Now, all these alone are not giving. Even taking care of nature is giving. We know that Mother Earth has given us so much. So take care of nature and give it back what you have received from it. And all the other random acts, it's not just to nature here I'm saying, any other selfless act which you do on the spot even is a noble act of giving. Now when you do all these noble acts, what do you think will happen? You give, you make the other person happy, you also enjoy the happiness inside you when you see the happiness in others. But when you do repeatedly such acts, you will also be doing another noble act. What you do will make other people also to do. You will trigger a chain reaction where your selfless noble act will inspire another person also to do the similar act. So your act of giving will not stop with that one instance alone. You give and they are happy. You will see that they themselves will become the donors. They will also start giving because they will understand that true giving is giving happiness to others. So you are, as a person with your own small selfless act, triggering a chain reaction in the other people to continue the chain of your nobleness. So frequently make sure that you give away so that you trigger a noble reaction. Now when you continue with this, we already have spoken of karma. What you give, you will get back many times more. So when you give, this is where it will be like a boomerang. What you throw will come back to you with full speed. So when you do a selfless act of giving, it will come back to you like a boomerang with its added benefits. And also, as I said, what you throw will be continued by others. So in your life, make sure that you take up this noble act of giving so that you spur other people around you also to commit that selfless act. Like in the Gita it has been said, what you do will come back to you many times. Make sure that this is a boomerang which you throw, which is a positive one, which will instigate other people also to do this selfless act, and you later will also become the recipient of others' giving. So here in this lesson, though this word is very commonplace, we have understood that giving is a noble act which every person has to indulge in, and by giving, your intention should be noble. Make sure that you think that this is your life's gift. So behind every selfless act of giving, have first the intention. Develop that intention. We go by life just by our work and family. We think only of the people around us, or mostly on the monetary side. But understand that your intention is primary for you to be a giver. Understand that it gives you happiness as well as the other person. Now this is where it is a reciprocatory act. You give and you get back. You give something which they need, but you get back happiness. So always you should first create that intention in you. Understand that this act is what will create a pattern. It will create a chain reaction. It will create a pattern of happiness, of joy, both for you as well as the receiver. Now that person who has received your act of giving, he will later become a giver to another person who will be the receiver. Understand that when you give freely, in need, it will also develop love and trust among the people living in you. So always indulge in this true noble act of giving. Make sure that you know how to make life happy for everyone around you. Now I would like to end this lecture by quoting Lao Tzu, who was an ancient Greek philosopher and writer. Now he was also the founder of the philosophical Taoism movement. Now what has he said about kindness? He says, kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. But what does kindness in giving create? It creates love. So make sure that you make this world and life filled with love by your noble act of giving. We should be fortunate to find acts of giving. That is where create opportunities in your life, be it for money or for even a kind word or a smile. Always find opportunities in everyday life to be a giver, because that is where, while you give, you make this life filled with love. So I will end my lecture here by hoping that you will become a person who always gives in life and makes everyone around you happy. Thank you, everyone.